guys want to talk about Endgame? Avengers
Topic
style?
of the week?
I think we have to before we start feeling it fade away, and I'll forget about it.
Right. So, what do you guys
Garbage.
think? It was terrible, right?
Garbage.
No good.
Worst Marvel
I want my money
movie
back.
ever. More
Wait,
terrible
10
than
years
Iron
of my
Man
life
2.
back.
Wait, I liked it. Wait a second. I really liked the movie.
Yeah, no, we're joking. It was a
joking.
good movie.
I was just talking to my sister about it today, actually. So I had a conversation before the podcast. Sorry, guys, about my feelings and thoughts on Endgame, which were pretty much, holy moly, that was a 3-hour movie. And I don't think personally I could have done anything better. And that was a new feeling for me.
Yeah.
There's so much to work through.
Right. Even though you didn't give Drax any lines.
That's true, man. Maybe I would have done that. Yeah, you're right.
The only complaint that I have about the movie comes from a world that I can't really identify with very well, I don't think, because I'm not a woman. But Scarlett Johansson was Black Widow for 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's been like carrying the mantle of like female superhero for that entire time, right? And then they kill her off, and then immediately after that they have a giant scene of like all the cool superhero women beating up bad guys together, and it's like, oh, she's dead, she doesn't get to be a part of that, even though she was the reason this was possible.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm most mad about her death.
That was a very moving scene, though. I know exactly what you were talking about at the end. They were all of the female heroes in the UMC universe were on screen at once.
Mm-hmm. Some people thought that was lame.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Some people thought it was like, I was like, no, like this is important.
Yeah.
This is saying like, hey, look at this whole picture of people.
powerful icons that young girls or women today of all ages can look upon and say like, wow, that is cool. That is progress, and that is something that we can all be proud of and happy about to see.
Yeah. I think it was just unfortunate for the screenwriters to be like, all right, ScarJo, she got to go now.
Yeah.
And then obviously that has to happen before everyone's brought back to life.
Right.
So you can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
did you want like a Simba or a Mufasa like Scarlett Johansson?
Well,
just,
now I
What
do.
about Chloe
her
Smulders?
picture-
Was she there too? I don't know if she was in it either.
She may not have been.
She was at the funeral, right?
Yeah, she was. She
okay.
was. And the point that we're referencing as well is the Soul Stone, where you have to make a sacrifice. Hawkeye and Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, went to the planet to get the Soul Stone. And of course, you realize, like, haha, one of us has to kill it.
Yeah,
one of us has to die.
As soon as they said like those two were going after the Soul Stone, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's gonna die.
What would have happened if like
Like-
the other couple went instead?
Yeah. They don't
love each
They
other
didn't even know each other, right? Who was it? It was the.
It had to
it
be
was
that.
Rhodey and Nebula.
Yeah, could have been Rhodey and
But
Nebula.
It was just like, first of all, no one was able to give them the heads up. Everyone should have known how the Soul Stone got there. Like, it makes sense. Second of all, like, we all knew Scarlett Johansson was going to die.
Like,
Like, you can't give so many advertisements out there. You can't put all this
You
these
can't-
shots of Hawkeye with his new hairdo.
You
and
can't
then-
have
I didn't know
Hawkeye
Scarlett
interacting
Johansson
with.
was gonna die.
Are you kidding
I
me?
totally would have did. I was like, they're not going to. They can't kill Hawkeye. They
you
put
can't
so much
show-
money into.
You can't show Hawkeye teaching his daughter how to shoot a bow and arrow, and then like losing his family and having that emotional thing, not to have the full circle closure of him meeting with his
Yeah.
family again.
Scarlett Johansson didn't get anything though.
That's
She
the-
never got a movie.
Exactly,
She never got
she's never gotten
anything.
anything.
No,
She's
and
never
that's what
gotten
I'm saying.
anything.
Right,
So
but
it was like,
that's my
under-
complaint, is
I
that
understand
she didn't.
Hawkeye had that whole thing, but I didn't go into this movie knowing Scarlett Johansson was gonna
oh
die.
yeah, not in
Oh.
the movie, into the scene. It was
Well,
into
yeah,
the
into the
I was like,
scene,
she's
but like
definitely
into the
dead.
movie, I didn't know.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
no.
As soon as they landed on like Morag, and they were like, okay, the coordinates for Vormir are set in there, and it's Scarlett Johansson and
Right.
Jeremy Renner sitting in the ship. I was like, that is the moment where I was like, oh.
And I just wonder, like, why? I'm wondering again. That's just creative. It's choice. Like, why did they need? I mean, I guess they just need to die because they're trying to kill off all the original Avengers because their movies are done. Like,
Hawkeye's original.
Yeah, but
Well, he
he's
quit. Remember,
he's
he
just
quit.
gonna quit and be.
yeah, he's one of the.
He's just
one
gonna
of the
go
Avengers
raise his
who quit.
daughter.
Yeah, like he's done.
I know.
Like, he's
Why
done.
does he need to? Well, they should have killed
See,
him
but
off.
they can't build up his family life and not give you.
I don't care
It's,
about
it's the
his
Hollywood
family
trope.
life. I don't care.
You know,
Scarlett Johansson didn't have anyone. All the people she loved died. She got to bring
Nuh-uh.
them back.
Bruce
She didn't
Banner
get to
was
see
still
it.
alive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I'm
part
mad.
like her
She
future was
has
so
a
uncertain.
family.
You know, like her family was there. She wanted to sacrifice herself for them. Like that makes sense.
I
Yes.
get it. I'm just more mad about that than
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other death, which
Yep.
most people are mad about.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it. I guess like if you have to kill off all the Avengers, like I guess how are we gonna kill Scarlett Johansson off? I guess that's how we'll do it.
I mean,
Which is still pretty badass.
they're killing Thor
She
off
had to
with
go
a
and
Philly
save-
cheesesteak, I think. So.
Yeah, I mean, dang, he had to wear that bodysuit the entire time. Yeah, should have been a bodysuit.
Fat
That-
Thor.
That
Thor,
surprised
the
me.
entire-
Fat Thor.
That's
I did
what-
not know.
That
No,
surprised
yeah, that's
me.
one thing.
I have to
was
go back and watch the trailers
Didn't see that
because I
coming.
want to see how many scenes were from the same movie.
I remember not seeing Robert Downey Jr. in that scene where they're all walking in those suits to the time machine. I remember not seeing Robert Downey Jr. there, but he was very evident in the scene in the movie. Because they did a great job for trailers this time. I had no clue what was coming.
Oh,
You had
I
no
didn't-
clue if Tony Stark was dead or not. Like,
I
you
had no
clue.
idea that there was going to be a whole time travel
Yep.
bent to it.
Yep. I was kind of worried too when Tony Stark, like when they went to visit him at his cabin, and he kind of turned it down. I was like, or when they first showed up there, when they came back, and he was like kind of mad at the captain. I was like, oh crap, he's died. He's not gonna be in the movie. That was it. That's all we're gonna see of Tony Stark. And I'm glad that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
No, there couldn't
that-
have
The
been.
the 5 years later time jump really surprised me. That it wasn't like immediately thereafter.
Yeah,
Yep.
5 years later, holy moly.
It's a big change. Can you imagine too? Can you imagine first of all trying to figure out your life after half the people disappeared off the planet? 5 years later, and all of a sudden they're back. Like, hooray, they're back. But like, what the heck? Like, what do you
Did
do?
they age?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they didn't
No.
age. The people that came back did not age.
Right.
Everyone else on the planet is 5 years
Yeah,
older.
that's
It's like,
crazy.
what if you had an older like a younger sister, and then when you came back, you
Freaking
were the
Ant-Man
same
I'm
came
also
back
just like-
and his daughter
It's like,
was.
you've been preparing food.
His daughter aged like 10
Which is
years.
also weird for
Let's
Joe
be
and I,
honest.
because we watched Ant-Man the day before, and seeing her age from movie 1 to 2 is kind of strange. And then from like 2 to the next day, where all of a sudden she's like a teenager. It's like, whoa, wait a second.
Was
She
she a
was like a
teenager or
teen-
was she like 22?
Exactly right. She was not the actor. That was not correct there. But
Like you're not passing her off as 14 to me, by the way.
just like logistically though, half the people in the world show back up instantly. Like that's gonna mess some things
Well,
up.
and the food production is
That's what
going
I'm
to be
saying.
way
You're just-
lower.
everyone's gonna die again anyway. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand.
It's okay because Captain Marvel's there to save the
I don't even
day.
want to talk about that. Captain Marvel was maybe in the movie for a total of 7 minutes.
Right. But
Yeah, she's like,
She-
I'll be here. Actually, I won't be here. Bye.
I've
And it comes in.
I've read so many mean things about Captain Marvel. They're like, she got the exact amount of screen time she deserved. I was like, what the
No,
heck?
I think Brie Larson
I mean,
is
maybe
a
in the
fantastic
Captain Marvel movie,
actress.
not in this movie.
Brie Larson is a fantastic actress, and I honestly overheard some of Joe's conversation with his sister. It really was the writing.
Yeah, it was like she doesn't have enough problems to dig through in that
Yeah.
movie. But I think Brie Larson as Captain Marvel had a lot of personality. Apparently, there's my sister was talking about like the real life behind the scenes stuff where people don't like working with Brie Larson. I don't know if that's true. Maybe my sister's insane, which is most likely the case. But going back to
sometimes
the
be real though for.
I just watched the trailer, and I'm very glad I didn't. The thing about me not wanting to watch trailers, most of it is I don't want to get spoiled. Like Jurassic Park, those trailers, like they just spoil the movie,
Right.
As well as that Sonic one. But
Big one's still
for
Ragnarok.
for like the big ones, like Avengers End Game, I don't want to see cinematography. I don't want to see like any cool set pieces. I want to be blown away by a set piece as I watch the movie.
And
Instead
were
of-
you blown away by these set pieces?
Yeah, that last fight. I mean, just setting it all up.
Yeah, that was great.
Captain Marvel, or not Captain Marvel, Captain America, just kind of standing there in front of a giant army of. Like I felt like that
That's
could have
a
been a
really cool
painting.
shot.
I felt like that could have been a painting.
And he got the hammer too.
that was easily
so
the best
impactful.
scene.
People plotting in the theater.
I mean, I would put a poster of Captain America with the broken shield and Thor's hammer. I'd put that on my wall.
That'd be great. Oh, that was a very impactful moment. Like, you could feel it. Yeah.
I think the whole time travel-y doobly-doo thing was expected, because that's how else do you resolve something like that? But I thought it was a super clever way to just be fan servicey and just
Yeah.
like bring back all the big
Set
iconic
pieces,
scenes,
yeah.
or at least some of them
They
throughout.
did it right. I think
Yeah.
this is
I
be said
was
for a lot of
Like that was so cool.
when they were
films.
like I thought it was going to be going in. I thought it was going to be them hunting down Thanos and getting the stones back from him somehow, and then bringing everybody back, more or less. Like I didn't have like the whole thing plotted out in my head or anything, but that's what I was expecting. So when Thanos bamfed the stones out of existence and they beheaded him like instantly, I was just like,
I don't know
where
what
are
to
we
do.
going from
Yeah.
here?
It was.
That surprised me, and I'm not often surprised in movies.
I love being thrown off like that.
Yep.
But yeah.
I really liked how they did time travel, where like normally like you go back, you change something, it changes something in the future. This one they're like, no, it just makes a whole nother reality.
Which is like the right way. Like that's the way time is supposed to be. And the way they explained it perfectly was like, yeah, all those movies that you guys are gonna talk about, yeah, they're wrong. Like you know that, right? That that's not real. It's like thank you.
They just make fun of it.
Thank
the whole
you. I
time.
remember hearing people after the movie like talking about these time like, no, they explained in the movie. It's a different timeline. That's not gonna affect anything. They're different. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if I'm happy or sad they didn't go with the time cop angle of if you go to the past and touch yourself, everything explodes. Because, you can't have the same matter in the same place or something. And I can just imagine, like, Captain America punching himself in the face and then, like, both of them melting.
Yeah. I'm glad there was only brief ditto moments, right?
Yeah, I
They
didn't know
didn't
how I
overdo
felt.
the
Yeah,
ditto
they were
moments.
funny. They were purposeful. It was cool.
Well, there was Captain America. What else was there?
Oh, the best one was Chris Pratt singing out loud to the beginning of
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Knocked out.
You just, like, hear him, like... Because it's a very epic moment in the movie, like, with the whole soundtrack going in the
That's
background.
great, yeah.
Yep.
But then they cut back to him, and it's just him, like, crappily singing along to his cassette player. And then...
I'd like to think that the time travel thing, cause like it goes back kind of to Captain Marvel for a little bit there. I was very disappointed initially because they talk about Captain Marvel. She's the answer. She's the response. You need her. She's going to be the one to save the world. It's all about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. And then you get to the movie and it's like they really didn't need her. Like she really didn't do anything. Like
She
blew
brought
up the
back...
ship.
She blew
But,
up
like,
a giant ship.
But it's like they were about to get the gauntlet anyway. And like there's a lot of things that could have happened at the end. They had a lot of options there. But it's like, and maybe though the whole thing was to detract away so that time travel was going to be the main focus. Because like I didn't expect it at all. I didn't expect time travel. Like I was seriously expecting like Captain Marvel to be the reason, to be the answer that they save the world or do something crazy.
If we hadn't seen the Ant-Man ending, we would have definitely never have guessed time travel.
Yeah. Well, even then, like I didn't know how Ant-Man was going to get out of the quantum realm either. Like I didn't know
was a
what
rat.
time was going to
a
be
rat.
involved.
It's a rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a trailer with Ant-Man in it. I was like, okay, he gets out of the quantum realm. That's good.
See, that's what I just saw, and I was like, oh, good thing I didn't watch that. So
That's the one thing I saw, and so I didn't until I saw the end of that trailer. I'm like, oh.
Well, I guess I wouldn't even have known because I didn't even know
You didn't even
what
watch
happened to
Ant-Man
Ant-Man to
in
begin with
general?
until
I
a
thought
day
Ant-Man's
before.
fine. Ant-Man's right
I'm
there.
so happy Ben and I watched those two like back to back.
They're impactful.
They're great.
Yeah.
They were great movies too. I don't know why anyone wasn't as adamant about pushing me to watch those.
Yeah, like those are
I'm
so
more mad.
important.
I mean,
I was the one making jokes about Ant-Man. I was like, I guess Ant-Man wasn't a great movie. Like,
No,
I'm
Ant-Man's
expecting
great.
them to be like the
But nobody's like,
average.
you need to watch
Exactly.
Ant-Man. And,
I'm very
and
I
Ben
loved
has
Ant-Man.
kind of killed me once
I loved Ant-Man.
with Avengers End Game.
No,
Or not Infinity War. He was like, you don't need to watch Spider-Man. And then he has like this huge like traumatic death scene where people are going, oh no, Spider-Man. I was like, I haven't seen the movie yet. Ben told me I didn't need to watch this. Oh my
I don't really
goodness.
get it.
So
think-
I did go back and I love the Homecoming. But
Homecoming, yeah.
what was I gonna say? The
Captain America getting back with Haley Atwell. Yeah.
yeah, I think
Peggy Carter.
him.
And did you ever see the Peggy Carter TV show? That was an
No.
underrated TV show.
No, I did not.
It was solid.
I did not, but I'm glad he had his happy ending. The him not coming back thing was weird, and you gotta wonder like how did he get all those gemstones back, like, or those Infinity Stones back to where they belong?
I assume he did it first and then just went there last. And,
Yeah, but still,
He-
yeah.
you talk to Red Skull.
My-
There you go. Here's your
Wait.
soul stone
Hi,
back.
you're my mortal enemy.
Wait.
Here's your stone back.
If it's supposed to be like, if the past is like a separate reality,
Mm-hmm.
No, he just went back to that timeline and returned those stones.
He
to
went
them.
right back.
Remember when
instantly as soon as they took him.
Bruce Banner was talking to the Sorcerer Supreme?
okay.
And
I was like,
she was
because I was
like-
like, then wouldn't he have just never come back because it's a different reality.
No, I think that he went back to his own reality and then sneakily started hanging out with Peggy Carter. It's kind of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He just went back there and stayed.
Yeah, he had a lot of those little vials.
Yeah, which is
They
great,
only
too.
took 4 in to get back for some reason. When they were sneaking in that military base, there's like a whole rack of those vials of things. He's grabs 4. Like, oh
Hey.
no!
Yeah,
What if you mess up, Captain? What if you mess up?
And we're gonna find too, because technically him in that world or in that time was frozen. So it's like he's not taking anyone's spy. He's like, this fits perfectly. I can
Yeah.
plug myself back in here and I'm gonna live my life.
I can't imagine though, like Peggy Carter's friends being like, "So you were in love with Captain America, huh? And then this guy, huh? He looks just like Captain America."
I was thinking about that the entire time at the end of the movie. It's like not just that, but for Captain America, like what does he do now? Like sure, you finally love your life, you're happy, you're living like a normal life, but like that lasts for a while. But then what? Like, you gotta get a job. Like, what do you do for a living? Like, you didn't really get an education, Cap. Like,
I mean,
what do you do?
He dances.
Yeah, you just like,
Dances with his
what do you
girl.
do for a living? Like, I'd get bored. Like, being happy and all that's great, but like, what's your purpose now? Like, it's just being happy. I don't know. Did he have kids? I don't know. Who knows? I want to know.
Who
more about
knows? Maybe MVP will come
Yeah,
back.
that was such a mysterious part of the movie. They tied up so many things, and then just said, "What?"
Yeah,
And,
I don't even want to talk.
you
He asked-
figure it
he
out.
asked him, can you talk about it? He says, no, I don't think I will. It's like, that's just writing. That's just the screenwriters getting lazy. They don't want to talk about it anymore.
That was them being like, we don't want to turn this into The Hobbit, where we stretch one movie, maybe 2, into 3 movies.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Captain Falcon at the end, so that's all exciting.
Captain Falcon.
Captain Falcon.
Falcon Punch.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Couldn't have done anything better myself.
No, great ending. Everything made sense, cohesive, not too many. You can't pick at things, which is great. You can't really go back and pick at too many things.
Iron Man dying. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
I know Nyla was very upset.
Yeah?
About that. Some other people were very upset as well. My sister was.
I was upset, but I had a feeling it was gonna happen.
That was...
I thought Captain America was gonna die.
I know, I thought that too.
I thought one was gonna die.
It had to be one of them.
Because I knew going into this movie, just from what I've read, like they're going to find a way to find an exit for all of these main characters. Every one of the main characters is going to have an exit because they're not going to come back. So what's
Well,
what's
Thor,
it going to be?
I don't know.
Yeah, Thor. Technically, Chris Hemsworth, he can come back. I don't know if he's going to be in the new Guardians
Thor,
movie. The Guardians of Asgard.
The
Asgardians
Asgardians of the
Guardians of the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. That's what it was. I couldn't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah. That will be interesting. I wouldn't mind. I like Chris Hemsworth quite a lot. Blah.
Yeah, he's great. I think
And-
that was the mysterious part. It's like, who is and isn't going to continue?
Right.
Which there were some characters that are going to. I firmly believe we will see a lot more of Thor.
Yeah, I don't remember reading anything about him, but we know Chris Hemsworth. He's made the statement. He's done being Captain America. Robert Downey Jr.'s like
Chris
done
Hemsworth.
with his own
Chris
movies.
Chris Hemsworth
Evans?
is
Chris
Chris
Evans. You say Chris Hemsworth.
Oh,
Thor.
yeah, Chris Evans. He's done with Captain America.
Yeah.
RDJ
Robert Downey
is
Jr.
done.
is
He's
done with
done.
Iron Man, like his own stand. He probably make cameos every now and again, because like he's still like signed to be like Iron Man
Yeah.
forever. But
That's the one of those things where the real world interferes with my movie life, I guess, because
Yeah.
like you knew
Contracts.
RDJ was going to be done. They weren't going to be able to pay him enough to continue another 10 years of Marvel movies. So you're like, he's going out one way or another.
can you
Yeah.
imagine now, like 20 years from now, when they reboot Iron Man, like we have to go back and tell our kids like that was the
Back
real
in
Iron
my
Man.
day.
We're gonna sound like those guys that are telling us like. I don't know. Adam West was the real Bat. I don't know who
Yeah.
says that. Adam West was
mean-
the best Batman. Who says
Adam
that?
West was the
Say
best
that?
comedic Batman.
Yeah.
Do people tell us? Do people say
It's
that?
very tongue-in-cheek,
Yeah.
that Adam
People
West.
do that for like James Bond, like
Yeah.
old James Bond.
Oh man, can you imagine if Idris Elba became the new James Bond?
I would be okay
I
with
mean,
that.
they're gonna go back and we're gonna say Dave Tennant was the best doctor, and people are gonna look at you like you're crazy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
That's gonna happen.
Christopher Eccleston was my favorite, but he's kind of a d-bag in real life, apparently. Hard to work with, like one Brie Larson.
Hey, that's what my sister said.
wow.
My sister also talked about like crying a lot, and
Yeah.
my
Joe is a robot,
sister's-
doesn't know about crying.
I almost teared up during some of these.
Almost
I
teared
feel,
up.
Almost
I
tear-
feel like
I-
getting older. I feel like
I've definitely,
I could
yeah.
feel it.
When I get older, I definitely get more sappy about movies. But I didn't have like a crying moment. My sister's boyfriend, who just lost his father, like he bawled during the whole Tony Stark and
that was
Mr.
such an
Stark.
impact film. I felt that.
He
Definitely.
he bawled.
Tom Holland's acting at the end of the movie was probably like I had tears in my eyes. I didn't like actively like drip off of my face, but
Mine did.
but I was.
cried.
It was definitely Tom Holland saying goodbye to Tony, or not saying goodbye to him, I guess, and then meeting back up with his best friend in high school. Like
Everything's normal.
yeah, and you could tell like his friend was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's you." Blah, blah, blah.
The Tony and his dad scene was very.
That was cool.
That was cool. Took us a little bit after the movie to figure out like the whole time, like where they were.
Yeah.
At what time? I was like, are they still in the 40s? How's that? How's he having a child? No, so it had to be in the 70s or whatnot.
I believe it was
But
1976.
Yeah, but his
Well,
dad,
that was-
looked the age was weird. All the ages, like Peggy looked so young
that
still.
base, yeah, Peggy looked young. That base looked like it was 1940s.
That's
Yeah.
why it
I
was
just,
thrown.
I was like, is Peggy the same age? Like Peggy looks like she's the same age. Did Cap just die? Like how many years has it been? Because Peggy should
Maybe she got
theoretically
some
be like
serum
50
too. I
years
don't know.
old. You know, Peggy should be like
Hey.
50 years old at that time.
It's probably an unpopular opinion, but Peggy Carter was like, she's my favorite looking Marvel girl. I don't know.
I totally forget. It's funny. I've never seen Winter Soldier. That's still what I haven't seen.
Wow.
Which apparently is really important.
That's what the elevator
I know.
scene was, wasn't
I've
it?
seen
Yeah.
the clip. I've seen that clip. So I
Yeah,
knew
they play
that.
it all the time in
So-
the trailer.
Yeah.
That
I
was
was like-
really funny. I
I was
like
I'm
that.
glad
I thought it
I
was
saw
so
that
clever.
clip, but I haven't seen Winter Soldier. So for the longest time, I didn't know Shield was like taken by Hydra,
Yeah.
which apparently is really important to know.
That's a
That's a
it's kind of
very
the big
important
deal.
I didn't know
movie.
it for the longest time.
It's like basically a intermediate Avengers movie. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
my
was. It was very reminiscent of like, kind of old spy movies and stuff. It was pretty cool. It was a good movie. And then there was Bucky, who's just there, I guess.
I thought Bucky would be more significant.
I love all around. There's this big giant battle scene. You got superpowers going off. People using like laser cannons. He's standing there with like an M16, just like
Yeah.
shooting people in the face.
People were so. I don't know why people were kind of upset that Bucky didn't get the shield at the end. Because I was like, this man was a Nazi.
He wasn't a Nazi. He was a
we're all
Soviet.
Great. Oh, you're great. Yeah, whatever. You know what? Like, we're great. Like, I know it
Fascism
wasn't actually
and
him,
socialism
but we
are
can't give
different.
Bucky the shield. Like, Bucky cannot be Captain America.
I
in
want to
this world.
say for a hot minute he was Captain America.
I think in the
comics.
he was.
Yeah.
But like in this universe here, like with all the things he's done, like you
Yeah.
can't give, especially when he killed Tony Stark's parents,
Yeah.
like, and you can't
And-
give him the shield.
I mean,
That's
the
not gonna
last reference that was made to him was not like the last big like comic book heavy reference they made to him was when he was recovering in Wakanda, and they called him the White Wolf, and that's one of his bad guy personas.
Yeah.
You know, the Winter Soldier and the White Wolf are like the two,
Yeah.
like him being a bad guy kind of things.
Yeah, like, I just thought that was funny. Like, they're great friends, but you can't really give. He can't be Captain America.
I do wonder though, like, how does Falcon
Use a shield
use
and
the
wings.
shield? He's not strong, you know. He's like
Yeah.
he's got a jetpack, you know, and he's got some cool tech, but he can't throw a
He's
shield.
also a very weird choice.
He's not
to
gonna do
Captain America.
the
Whatever.
iconic bicep flex while pulling a helicopter to the bill.
Definitely not your standard Captain America.
So
I didn't like him a lot from Infinity War.
I like Captain America. Everyone always says he's so lame and vanilla, but I like him a lot as a character.
I think he is lame, but Chris Evans did a great job bringing him to life.
I think he in the universe of the movies. I was talking to my sister about it. Like he's just his superpower is just being good, right?
just
To the point where
good.
everyone else hates him because
It's
they
annoying.
they
Yeah.
can't
Yep.
do that,
Yep.
or
Yep.
they don't want to. I think it's more they don't want to
to.
do that. And here's this guy who's like, he just wants to do it,
Yep, no
and he
matter
gets
what.
so much scrutiny, so much hate, but he's just gonna do it because
Yeah, and I love that scene where the Ditto, where he ran into the other Captain America, and like, he's having a tough time. He's like, God, why is this? And then he runs into him, and then he gets faced with himself, and he gets punched in the face by Optimism, where the other Captain America, I don't remember, he said something that was like, I'm here to stop you, or something silly, like it's like all about being the do-gooder, and then you see like our Captain America, he's just like, I know, God, I know, dang it.
That is
I know you gotta
America's
do
ass.
this, let's just do this. It was a very human moment for him, and I'm like, that's so perfect, because it's right, like, you're right, he he makes the right choice no matter how difficult it is every single time, and like that in itself is kind of his superpower, which is incredible. Because
Wow.
I can really
hard.
admire that.
Let me climb up on my soapbox for 1 minute here. Captain America from the MCU is everything that this country is missing. Off the soapbox.
Oh man.
A great butt. Captain America's butt. That's
America's butt. That is America's butt. No. I long for an America where Captain America's ideals were, shared by all. But I digress.
What now? Now we just watch the other Marvel movies?
Now we see what Phase 4 has to bring.
Yeah, we're all in for this multi-billion-dollar ride.
Indeed.
They made $1 billion in 5 days.
That's a lot of money. What do you even
Robert
do?
Downey Jr. got $50 million from the movie.
That
Did
is
you
a
see the
lot.
video? So Chris Pratt took an illegal video. I think it's during like the big war scene. And
All
he's
of
just
them after the
panning.
place got
He's like panning over all of
destroyed.
them, like discussing stuff, and a lot
yeah.
of them are fitting their character. And Chris Evans is just smiling because he thinks it's a picture, and
Well,
then
the-
he's like, "Oh, it's a video." It's great. And then they pan over, and he's like, "This is a really illegal video."
Yeah.
I like those stunt doubles are in the first shot.
I hope that there's a documentary series or just a really good director's commentary on this whole franchise. I love watching those. Like the Lord of the Rings ones, even the Chronicles of Narnia one was really good too.
All those famous actors, and like they're such heavy hitting actors.
Yeah, how do you not film behind the scenes stuff?
Wow, I mean,
You could
those
sell a
guys-
movie in that.
But if
Yeah.
you get in a Marvel movie, you're casting a Marvel movie, no matter how good the movie is or whatever, like you're kind of set, right? Like you are.
If you're
all
the
of a
lead,
sudden-
yeah.
You are all of a sudden a Marvel hero for the rest of your life, and that's crazy. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And Chris Pratt for a second. I gotta say this again. I gotta love Chris Pratt. Because I watched.
He's a
I
lovely
recently.
human
This is
being.
off topic for a second here, but like he's a great actor. Got so much depth and range. He's supposed to be really funny. And I watched the other Jurassic World movie. I hadn't seen it before. It's on HBO. The other night. And like I expected him to be a silly goofball like he always is, and he wasn't. He's like super serious, and it's great. And I just want to shout out to him. Like you might have lost the Guardians of the Galaxy now. Like we all know who's the real leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But he's a good actor.
He's a very good actor.
Mhm.
Not bad for a guy who was supposed to get written out of Parks and Rec 2 episodes in.
That's something.
Yeah.
Some of those outtakes in that series are so funny because of Chris Pratt.
So man, just try just doing his best.
A lot of inappropriate things
Oh,
too.
definitely. Definitely.
But final thoughts on Endgame?
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean
I really did.
that was a holiday weekend. I mean, people didn't show up to Ukatsu for stuff. Like that was an event that was you had to be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
be there.
I enjoyed it. It was bittersweet for me. It was definitely an ending and a finale to me, at least.
Oh yes,
Definitely
it's a
one of
send
those.
off.
Yep.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
The fact that it was good. Like
Yeah.
they had such big expectations, but I think the fact they
Yeah.
blew most of them away and everyone can walk away with like, that was a good movie. I mean, that's
It
hard.
was.
It
That's hard to do.
it felt shorter than Infinity War in terms
Mm-hmm.
of pacing, but obviously it was longer. Were there more action scenes?
Depends on how you define
Infinity
action
War?
scene.
I don't know.
There's a lot of
That was a good movie too. It just like ended on a very somber note.
Endgame they jumped a lot of places, and it was okay that they jumped a lot of places, but they literally had to cover so much ground.
There
that
was a lot.
You
That's
were
true.
really
it was
fast.
like three
paced.
storylines at the same time.
Yeah, they're like, we have to get the Avengers back, but we also have to go back in time, but we also have to do this.
It was all
we
the
have-
cast.
Like,
Half the cast was dead in this movie.
That is true.
they wove together like 20,000 things really
Mm-hmm.
well in a very short amount of time. 3 hours is short.
Real quick, Ant-Man should have died.
You think so?
Holy
Where
moly!
at?
Like I love Ant-Man, and I wanted him to die because it would have been so impactful when all of a sudden they get the gauntlet to work, they snap their fingers, they look up, and a freaking
wait, he got hit
missile,
by a
a laser
he was dead.
missile,
I forgot
just
about
comes
that.
and blows up the entire place to
His
where
body
it
goes like
shreds the
ragdoll.
entire complex. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ant-Man just died.
That was his face that missile landed on.
Exactly, and he had no idea it was coming. Nobody knew it was coming. It shocks me that they all survived that.
Yeah.
Because I thought that nuke pretty much was so surprising and so realistic.
Surreal. Yeah, very surreal.
Like, if somebody had died from that, it probably would have been extremely traumatic for a lot of audience members. But that is so real to just.
Yeah.
That's how unexpected terrorism attacks work, right? It's 0 to 1, and in that moment it was 0 to 1, but with zero consequences.
Yeah. They should have put a filler person there. Like I think there's gonna be more Ant-Man movies, but that's probably why they kept it alive. But there should have been like another person there.
Yeah, I agree. He should have
That was
died.
a very-
They literally
I
hit
forgot
him
about
in the
that.
face.
I forgot about that because he survived.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that moment. You're like,
I was
whoa.
actually in shock there. I was like, oh my
Whoa.
gosh, he's dead.
Yep.
I am so sad.
Well,
but then he was like, oh, I'm a little ant now. Like, it didn't hurt me at all.
Yeah, I forgot about that moment because he survived.
That him and Hawkeye probably should have both died
Yeah.
in that scene fairly quickly. I mean, they're the ones with no real superpowers. Like
Rocket had a iron thing on him, like an iron
crushing
bar crushing him, and he just got up. He's fine.
Yeah. I don't agree with any of that.
I can blow them all up and no one gets injured.
No one was incapacitated.
To be fair, those three aren't. I mean, Ant-Man's pretty big now, but like those were definitely three characters that you could have totally just.
That's why, but they were like I liked them enough, and that's the perfect kind of death.
I know that's
Where
what
it's just
I
It was
mean.
so sad if Rocket
It would have
died.
been so sad if one of them died, but I still think it should have happened. Man. Then what do they like? What does kill them? If a giant spaceship.
okay, if you want to talk about what does kill somebody, Gamora, thrown off of a fairly high cliff, dead. Watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2. She falls from the surface of a planet to the core of a planet and lands on her feet with no trouble at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Because she was prepared for it.
yeah,
She's
like
thrown off or what? Yeah.
I mean,
She could have landed. I think she could have landed.
yeah, and like, I don't know. I was always dubious of like how that fall killed her when, like, falling to the core of Ego's planet. She was like, just like landed, like stuck the landing, and was like ready to fight Nebula right there.
I like how it was the same shot too for Gamora and Black Widow. Just a aerial pulling away, and they're just like with a pool of blood around their head. I was like, oh, okay.
We're running out of time here a little
True.
bit. But last shout out though is to Nebula, because who would have ever thought that she would have such a pivotal role in that entire movie? Like, she did so much acting, and
She did a lot of acting.
she grew. I could feel the growth from the Guardians of the Galaxy to this movie here. Like, wow.
Well,
Wow.
bringing it back,
crazy.
she was a Doctor Who companion for a number of years. Amelia Pond. She's a very good actress.
She looks very different
I didn't know that was her. Yeah, I did not
than
know
the
that was her.
mountains of makeup.
Mountains of makeup, missing like 2 feet of red hair, blue skin. Not Scottish at all in this one.
Yeah, she was great.
Now we just wait for X-Men to cross over.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
It can't. Oh yeah, the new one can. I was like, the old one can't because Chris Evans.
Yeah, man. Oh, man, a Civil War with the X-Men in it would have been great.
Would have been great. I'm
Missed
sad now
opportunity.
that they wasted Civil War,
Missed
the
opportunity.
title.
Civil War 2.
Civil War 2, the actual Civil War. Anyway, guys, as been alluded to, we've been running a little long on this one. We all know it. But we loved our time. Oh, wow, we're really long. Never mind. You guys have a wonderful evening. Any closing thoughts?
No, we've already done
Okay.
closing
No.
thoughts. Bye. Be sure to
Bye.
like us and subscribe.
Yeah, check it out on Discord and tell us what you thought of Endgame, etc. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
We could cut it up. We could cut up like the first half.
Hour and 20 minutes.
We can cut up the first half and then the second half.
Alright, I got it.